Hey, welcome to another episode of Q&A where I take your questions from Twitter, from Patreon, from YouTube, from anywhere that you can ask me them, and I answer them on video. The first question is from Patreon user Jamboree, who asks me if you weren't a Browns fan, who would you be a fan of? Okay, that's a hard one to answer, honestly. So I'm going to go and just use the assumption that, say the Browns never came back in 99, who would I be a sports fan of? I would probably say I would be a Buffalo Bills fan, or I probably just wouldn't be a fan of NFL at all. Part of what got me really into football was, my family's relationship with it. But, when I talked to them, they didn't really watch football in that period where the Browns weren't there. So I don't know if I would have had a team. I might have just been another fair weather Steelers fan. Oh, no. But I don't know what team I would have been a fan of if it weren't for the Browns. Probably a Lions or Bills fan because I am attracted to tragedy. The next question also comes from Patreon, and it is from Maxwell Dojo, who says to me, can you discuss special teams, soup to nuts, coach, kickers, kickoff, punt coverage, and a good hands team on both sides for an onside kick? I know it's a lot, so give it your best. Thank you for all you do and for working to improve your production and presentation. Well, first off, Max, I want to thank you for being a patron. You help me make sure I can keep this production up and make sure I can keep bringing out good videos for you guys. So your question, a little bit too big for me to answer in this one specific video. But I will say a discussion or a large video about the special teams and breaking that down is coming. It probably will drop sometime between May and August while we have this time before training camp starts. So I can't answer everything right now. I would like to get into camp before I can really answer that question because so much about special teams is a question mark until you get to camp, until they break down depth charts, until you see what guys are going to be in what roles on special teams in order to break that down. So I will answer that question more in full, more in depth, but it's going to have to wait till probably training camp. The next question is from YouTube, and it comes from Ian Jones, and he asks me, are the Giants the new Browns? Giants fan here. Because on the surface, you guys are doing a lot of like prime Ray Farmer Browns era stuff with some of the odd selections and trades coming out of that organization. But it just would be hard for me to imagine the Giants being a complete laughingstock. I mean, that is an organization that's been relatively solid for a number of years. I'm going to say no, because I think your dysfunction lies with one sole individual, and that is just the ego of Dave Gettleman. And I think that's what's causing most of the problems coming out of New York. He is the guy who hired Pat Shurmur. I still, for the life of me, I don't understand why that's seen as a good hire, but they hired Pat Shurmur. That was Dave Gettleman. That Dave Gettleman's the one who pushed Odell Beckham out of town, who didn't re-sign his draft picks. I think Dave Gettleman has a large ego on him. He is riding the coattails of his former success, and I think he is finally about to die on that sword. But I think once you get rid of Dave Gettleman, I have faith in the Giants organization as a whole to be able to correct course and become more of a familiar Giants team than what we've been used to for the last few years. But yeah, I don't think you guys are going to become the new Browns. I think just you got a few rough years ahead of you with Dave Gettleman because I think he is truly dysfunctional now. The next question comes from the Catster, who says to me, do you think Coach Kitchens is going to have any trouble as a first-year head coach with all of these expectations? It's the one thing we have not talked about a lot is that, Freddie Kitchens is a first-year head coach, and there is a lot of expectations on this team. And I think there are going to be struggles. There are going to be frustrating moments, I think, with Freddie Kitchens adjusting to being a head coach throughout the season, especially at the beginning of it. I don't think it's going to be super smooth sailing throughout because it's his first year. But I also think that he has enough support around him to where he won't be completely helpless. Like, I don't think we're going to be seeing Hugh Jackson levels of sideline incompetence with Freddie Kitchens. And also, while he is a first-time head coach, and was a first-time offensive coordinator last year, he does not have a lack of experience in the NFL. He is a very well experienced, especially on the sideline, because he's never really been an offensive coordinator. He's always been a sideline coach. He has a lot of experience being on the sidelines and working that area. So I think there are a lot of concerns about Freddie Kitchens in his first year that are overstated, but there are some nuances to being a head coach that are going to take some time for Freddie Kitchens to adjust to. But I think also he has Steve Wilkes, who is a former head coach, albeit not successful. But he also has a lot of experience on the staff in order to help him out. So I think a lot of Freddie. I think Freddie Kitchens is going to have some adjusting, but I don't think it's going to be really a lot of adjusting that we're going to see. It's more of an adjustment behind the scenes with the logistics of how he does the head coach job. The next question comes from Mr. Neo, who proposed a question to me saying, how will Baker Mayfield, or who will Baker Mayfield's biggest QB rival be in the AFC? Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, or Josh Allen? I think in division it has to be Lamar Jackson. I don't think Andy Dalton's going to have a career resurgence, and I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is going to be around long enough for there to be any meaningful rivalry with Baker Mayfield. But yeah, I think in the AFC North, it has to be Lamar Jackson for right now. But I think in the AFC, I think there are a number of great rivalries that could be set up in the AFC. I think Baker versus Deshaun Watson is certainly going to be an interesting rivalry to watch. I also think that just because of how these two players are so different off the field, I think Andrew Luck and Baker Mayfield would be an interesting one. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold's always going to be one they push, but let's see if Sam Darnold develops to be a franchise guy. I don't think he has necessarily showed that at the level that Baker Mayfield has for the Browns. Yeah, I would say Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson are going to be the main rivals for Baker Mayfield, I think, coming up, if we are so lucky to have such things. The next question is from Russia, and they say, hello from Russia. Do you think the Browns will be good enough to stop the run? Man, I would hope so this year. I mean, they did so much with the defensive line and the linebacker positions. I would hope that they won't be as abysmal as they were last year. I think a lot of their run issues were pretty much in the middle. They didn't have any beef in the middle. You had Trevon Coley getting stood up by a double team every play, and then you had Larry Ogunjobi, who's more of a pass rushing D-tackle in there, more downs than he should have. And I think that trickled into the linebackers not being able to make as many tackles because they just had no support up there in the interior defensive line. So I would hope with all the improvements that that's going to lead to an increase of play in the linebacking core, in the defense, in the middle of the defense. I think that's going to make a huge difference. If they can stop runs up the middle, this team is going to be really good at stopping the run. The next question is from Adrian Cardwell, who says to me, will you be going to any Browns games this year? If so, which ones? Yes, I do plan on going to a bunch of Browns games this year. Which ones? It isn't set in stone yet. I don't want to jinx anything, but I will be going to a lot of them, and I will live tweet, and I'm thinking of live streaming if I get there early enough before the game starts, and having a conversation with you guys while I do that. So I'll definitely let you guys know if I am heading down to any Browns games, or if I'm heading downtown to go tailgate, because I might need a guide in the muting lot because I've never been. So yeah, I will be going to some home Browns games this year. I don't know which ones. I do know I'm going to go to at least a few, but the number isn't set in stone yet. So I'll let you guys know through Twitter. Follow me on that. But yeah, I do plan on going to some Browns games this year. Next question is from Otaku Moyo, who says to me, what game in next year's schedule are you most excited for? Browns at Pittsburgh. I am most excited for the at Pittsburgh game because I think this is a year we have a realistic chance at finally beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. It would mean a lot if you were able to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I think that is something that hasn't been done in a very long time. I think they've done it once or twice at the most, but I think they've only done it once since they built Heinz Field. And the Browns just don't have a history of doing well, even when the Steelers played at Three Rivers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Browns at Pittsburgh. I want them to win that game. Y'all know about my Baker Mayfield plant the flag theory, but I just am looking forward to the Browns playing at Pittsburgh. Next question is from the Vault Dweller, who asks me, how do you feel about the Browns at safety? I think they're reasonably set. I don't think they're amazing at strong safety. I don't think they have a playmaker at strong safety, but I think they're going to have enough to where it's not a gaping hole, hopefully. I think they have enough DBs to rotate to be able to fill the hole without it hurting the team so much necessarily. I am honestly more worried about the linebacking core than I am about safety right now because I feel like they have enough depth at safety. I don't feel like they have enough depth at linebacker yet. We'll see how Sione Takitaki and Mac Wilson pan out and see if they can provide that extra depth. But for right now, I don't know what they want to do with Jannard Avery. Joe Schobert looks like he's going to be one of the main guys, which is fine. And Christian Kirksey's coming back from injury. And I don't know if he necessarily fits what this Browns defense wants to do. So a few question marks in linebacker. So I'm more worried about that than safety. Last question comes from 827 Productions / Drew Bailey, who asks me, what is your favorite memory as a Browns fan? And they also say, love your vids. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. My favorite memory as a Browns fan would be a fairly recent memory. Last year, the Thursday night game against the Jets, I was in attendance for that game. I had pretty good seats. It was pretty awesome. And I got to see the Baker Mayfield era begin in person, live. Browns won their first game in forever. It was one of the most exciting atmospheres I've ever been a part of. It was a pretty damn good memory, the game. Now, it took like 3 hours to get out of the parking garage after that, but that's just downtown Cleveland for you. But yeah, I would say my favorite memory would be going to last year's Thursday night game against the Jets. And I would say my number 2 memory would probably be being at the Browns-Bengals game, the last home game last year, and seeing just how in love the city was with Baker Mayfield, and how they just were chanting his name the whole game. It was pretty amazing to see. I've never seen anything like that in a football game in my life. So I would say those are just my 2 favorite Browns memories. And hopefully next year, I get to put that. Hopefully next year, those memories don't even make the top 10 because we did so much this season. But yeah, for right now, I would say that is the top 2 Browns memories I've had. All right, guys, that's it for all the questions I'm going to take today. If your question didn't make it, please ask again next week. I do this weekly, so your question will eventually get on there. And if you're watching, if you're a loyal subscriber, a loyal commenter, please know I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and helping this channel grow from something that only had 200 subscribers last November to something that's approaching 6,000 subscribers now. So again, guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you to my Patreon followers who are able to spare a few dollars and help the production of this show and help keep this show going day in and day out. And thank you for everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, and especially the people who share these videos. You are the lifeblood to this channel. You help this channel grow immensely. I truly appreciate you guys. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hitting that like button. And you have an excellent